The Crystal Palace, marvel of glass, tragedy of steel, the story of innovation, wonder, and the world's first fatal car accident. When the Crystal Palace first shimmered to life in London's Hyde Park in 1851, it was a monument not just to British ambition but to the extraordinary possibilities of human invention. Designed by Joseph Paxton, a gardener turned architect, the palace captured the very essence of the Industrial Revolution, transparent, bold, and seemingly limitless. But even as it stood as a beacon of progress, the palace would later bear silent witness to one of technology's earliest and darkest missteps: the world's first fatal automobile accident. A palace like no other, the birth of an architectural wonder, the Crystal Palace was conceived for the Great Exhibition of 1851. An international showcase of industrial achievement, science and art championed by Prince Albert. The structure itself was revolutionary. Paxton's design borrowed heavily from his experience constructing greenhouses at Chatsworth, employing cast iron, modular design and enormous sheets of glass in quantities never before attempted. The records it shattered were nothing short of astonishing. Total length 1,852 feet, 564 meters, matching the year it was built. Width 408 feet, 124 meters. Floor area over 990,000 square feet, 92,000 meters squared. Volume enclosed over 33 million cubic feet, 935,000 meters cubed. Glass panels used more than 300,000 panes of plated glass, the largest glass structure ever built at the time. Construction time remarkably completed in just 9 months from concept to opening. Engineering firsts, among the earliest large-scale uses of prefabrication, modular assembly and mass production principles in architecture. Inside this glass and iron marvel, over 14,000 exhibitors from across the world displayed everything from steam engines to fine art, while over 6 million visitors, including Queen Victoria herself, flocked to witness this spectacle. The Queen, upon visiting, declared it the most wonderful structure ever raised by man. The move to Sydenham, bigger, grander and even more spectacular. Following the close of the Great Exhibition, the palace's story did not end. It was dismantled and relocated to Sydenham Hill in South London, reopening in 1854. But this was not merely a reconstruction, it was an expansion on a truly heroic scale. The Sydenham Crystal Palace was over 3 times the size of the original, and as you can see, the grounds boast a beautiful array of features from the legacy of the palace itself. In certain parts of the park, it's easy to feel like you're in the countryside, with trees and a diversity of foliage all around, as well as an outdoor bandstand, the Crystal Palace Bowl, that's seen the likes of the Faces, fronted by Rod Stewart, the Beach Boys and Elton John, Joe Cocker, Roxy Music, Lou Reed, Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel, Carlos Santana, Eric Clapton and the legendary Bob Marley, among many others who played there, not to mention the lake, a maze and its dinosaurs. Back to the majesty of the palace itself though. 2 enormous water towers were designed by the legendary engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel, supplying water for the vast network of 12,000 fountains. The surrounding park became a Victorian wonderland, complete with extensive terraced gardens, a model prehistoric park containing the world's first full-size dinosaur sculptures, open-air concerts, football matches, and early aeronautical experiments. The Crystal Palace was not merely a building, it was a living museum of human possibility. Tragedy in the shadow of progress, the world's first fatal car accident. The Crystal Palace grounds also hosted numerous technological demonstrations, including one in August 1896 that would claim a grim place in history. The victim, Bridget Driscoll, 44 years old, a mother of two from Croydon. The setting, on 17th of August 1896, Bridget Driscoll was visiting the Crystal Palace grounds during a motor vehicle demonstration organised to showcase Britain's engineering automobile industry. The vehicle involved was a Roger Benz automobile, almost certainly a British imported version of the German Benz Velo, 1894 to 1896 model, one of the earliest commercially available motor cars in the world. Technical specifications of the Benz Velo: engine power 1.5 horsepower, weight approximately 280 kilograms, top speed factory settings 12 kilometers per hour, 7.5 miles per hour. Steering simple tiller control, with an open carriage design with high spindly wheels. The accident: when Bridget was crossing the demonstration area with her teenage daughter and a friend, the small car driven by Arthur James Edsall approached. Some witnesses claimed that Edsall may have disabled the car's speed governor to achieve a more impressive demonstration speed. Although officially the car was limited to 4 miles an hour, some observers say that the car was moving at up to 8 miles an hour, terrifyingly fast for an audience unfamiliar with motorcycles. Bridget hesitated mid-crossing, apparently confused by the vehicle's approach. Within seconds, the car struck her and she fell to the ground, suffering a fatal head injury. The inquest, led by Coroner Percy Morris, the verdict: accidental death. Morrison famously stated, "I trust this sort of thing will never happen again." He was certainly not correct there. Though Edsall was cleared of wrongdoing, questions lingered as to whether speeding, poor braking, or simple public unfamiliarity contributed to the tragic outcome. Historical irony: the legal context of 1896. The accident took place against the backdrop of a new wave of motor legislation. In fact, 1896 was the very year that Britain repealed the restrictive Red Flag Act, which had required motor vehicles to be preceded by a man on foot carrying a red warning flag. The New Locomotives on Highways Act 1896 had just raised speed limits from 4 miles per hour to 14 miles per hour, a move that signalled Britain's enthusiastic embrace of motorised travel, but one that also foreshadowed the mounting dangers of road traffic. The fall of the palace. Despite its wonders, the Crystal Palace could not escape the ravages of time. On the 30th of November 1936, a catastrophic fire broke out, fueled by vast quantities of timber flooring and dry materials. The blaze gutted the structure in a matter of hours. Thousands watched helplessly as one of the world's greatest architectural icons collapsed into fiery ruin. Among those who mourned its loss were Winston Churchill, who called it a national disaster. Today, only fragments of the terraces, statues, and a famous dinosaur model survives, yet the Crystal Palace remains etched into history as both a triumph of human ambition and an early harbinger of the unintended consequences of technological progress. In summary, a palace of firsts and lasting lessons. It boasts a world record of the largest glass structure, 300,000 panes. It's the first major prefabricated modular building. It boasted the first full-scale dinosaur models. And on a more somber note, it was the site of the first fatal pedestrian car accident in recorded history. The Crystal Palace tells a story not just of glittering ambition, but of the complex, bittersweet balance between progress and peril, a balance we still struggle with today. Thank you for watching.